Okay, guys, so this is the lesson for geometric sequences, but I want you to pretend that we're in class and you're having a quiz. So what I want you to do is freeze pause the video, and this is your quiz. I want you to imagine we're in class, we're having a quiz. Take at most 15 minutes to complete these 4 questions in your notebook. When I say explain, just like plug numbers into the formula. I don't want this is not an English class. And then when you're finished with the quiz, once again, try to keep it under 15 minutes. Take a picture of your responses and upload it to the assignment for geometric sequences. Okay, good luck. The first question is, once again, given the following sequence, 5, 11, 17, 23, the first question is this sequence arithmetic? B, I want to know what the 15th term is. C, is 700 a term in the sequence? And D, what is the first term greater than 300? Good luck. Okay, so you finished the quiz, and we're back. So let's look at today's lesson. The aim is going to be geometric sequences, and the idea is if let's look at the recursive. So with an arithmetic sequence, we said, you know what, to get to the next term, we added or subtracted the common difference. With a geometric sequence, because I'm lazy, to get to the next term, we're going to multiply or divide, but we spoke about this by a common ratio. And so you can figure out the common ratio just by inspection. So if I gave you example 1 and I said, 2, 10, 50, 250, you might say, hey, Mr. Adler, I can clearly see by inspection that it's times 5, times 5, times 5. But what's the fancy way? The fancy way might be, you know what? Wait a minute. 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 50 divided by 10 is 5, and 250 divided by 50 is also 5. So this is our common ratio is 5. That's the fancy way. Let's look at another example. I might say 81, 27, 9, 3. You might say, oh, you know what, Mr. Riley, I recognize it. I see what's going on here. Well, maybe you don't recognize it, and you're not really sure what the common ratio is, so let's do the fancy way. So let's see what u of n plus 1 divided by u of n. So we say 27 divided by 81. Use your GDC, you'll get 1/3, or 0.3 repeating. Well, does it work for the next? Let's see, 9 over 27. You know what? That's also 1/3, or 0.3 repeating. Let's try the last. Let's try 3 divided by 9. You know what? I also get 1/3. Nice. So, first of all, because I'm multiplying and dividing each time, or dividing, I know it's geometric, and I know the R is 1/3. As I said before, we don't want to talk about division anymore. We want to be fancy, so it's times 1/3. Nice. Let's move on. So here's some examples, and I'd like you to figure it out on your own. Let's see. Find the common ratio. And get this in your notebook. Sorry, I wrote an extra N there, and there's no erase mark. Try this. 3, 30, 300, 3,000. So find the R. Here's another example. Try 400, 80, 16, 3.2. Find the R. And then the last example, 6, negative 12, 24, Negative 48. Find the R. Okay, put the video on pause and figure this out. Welcome back. What did you get for an answer? So let's see. Okay, well, by inspection, the first one's kind of easy, but once again, if you're not really sure, you're going to do 30 divided by 3. That's 10. 300 divided by 3. That's also 10. And 3,000 divided by 300. That's also 10. The common ratio is 10. What's going on with the second one? What's going on with part B? So you think you might know, but you know what? Make some ratios, take out your calculator, and see if you get the same ratio. I'm going to say, let's see, 80 divided by 400, that's 1/5. Okay, 16 divided by 80. Oh, you know what? My calculator tells me that's also 1/5. And then 3.2 over 16. You know, by hand, I don't want to do calculate division of decimals by hand, but you know what? You don't have to. Put it in your calculator. You know what you got? 1/5. The common ratio for this geometric sequence is 1/5. Now, what's going on with this last one? Okay, well, you kind of have an idea, but now there's negatives introduced. Same idea. Go to your calculator, or some of you are saying, Mr. Adler, no, we get it. We know it's doubling, but it's switching from negative to positive, negative to positive. So I know by inspection it's -2. If you want to test it out, do -12 divided by 6, 24 divided by -12, and then -48 divided by 24. That gives you your common ratio. Let's move on. Now, in the book, they're going to refer to something as a general term. Let me scroll up to the top of the page. Something called a general term. Well, you know what? That's another way of simply writing explicit formula. And as you recall from the last lesson, the recursive formula just tells you how to get to the next term. The explicit formula tells you how to get directly to a specific term, because I don't want to be like adding or multiplying like 20 times. I want to get to the 20th term. So to get the explicit term, so once again, we know what the recursive formula looks like. The general term is u of n equals u of 1 times r to the n minus 1. With the it looks exactly like the arithmetic sequence, except instead of jumping by addition, we're jumping by multiplication, right? So, for example, and then they ask find the general term. That simply means come up with a formula. So the question is, how do we find the general term? First, find u of 1 and r, and then second, substitute into formula. That's it. So let's do an example. Let's go back to some of our original. What was the first problem? 2, 10, 50. What is it? 250. Whoops, 250. Okay. So how do I write this as a formula? Because I already know that I'm multiplying by 5s, but I want to know, like in the last homework problems, how do I get to like the 17th term? Okay. Find u of 1. U of 1 is 2. And the common ratio was 5, and then substitute in the formula. The nth term is 2 times 5 to the n minus 1. So I can say to you now, find which term? How about you find the 9th term? You say, okay, I'm not going to multiply by 5 8 times. I'm just going to do 5 to the 9 minus 1. That's a really big number. Hey, Siri, what is 5 to the 8th power times 2?
The answer is 781,250.
That's the answer. Let's try another one. What was another example that we did earlier in the class? Let's see, it was 81, 27, 9, 3. Once again, what's the general formula? Maybe I'm interested in the 7th term, or I'm interested in the 17th term. Well, I know the first term is 81. I know the common ratio is 1/3. Let's put it together in the formula. 81 times open parentheses 1/3 to the n minus 1. And now I can figure out the 7th term. 81 times 1/3 to the 7 minus 1, or 6. Hey Siri, 1/3 to the 6th power times 81.
The answer is approximately 0.111111.
Good. What is it? So I'm sorry. Yeah. So it was 1 repeating. And try to figure out what that is. Sometimes they ask as a decimal. Sometimes they ask as a fraction. I think I wrote the wrong number down here. Anyway, that's basically it. One last thing. The last thing they ask is they give you a sequence and they say find the first term of 2, 6, 18. No. Sorry, 2, 6, 18, 54. That is greater than 10,000. So what do you do? Well, first thing I'm going to do is find the general term. Find the general term. So I know that u of 1 is 2, and I know the common ratio. Just by inspection, I can see I'm multiplying by 3 each time. So I have u of n is equal to 2 times 3 raised to the n minus 1. Well, like in the last homework problem, I'm going to see if 10,000 is actually a term. So 10,000 is equal to 2 times 3 to the n minus 1. Now, you can't solve this alone by hand. Some of you might say, oh, well, I can divide both sides by 2, but then you have 3 raised to the n minus 1 equals 5,000. No. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to go to Desmos. So you're going to go type in desmos.com on the top, and then it's going to take you to this screen. And then what you're going to do is you're going to put the equation that we just came up with. 10,000 equals 2 times, open parentheses, 3 raised. There's a caret at top. And then up there, you're going to do x minus, open up another parentheses. It's going to be x minus 1, close parentheses, return. And what you're going to do is you're going to say up. You can see that it's a little bit less than 9. So like 10,000 is a term. Do I have to go? No, I'm good. 10,000 is somewhere between the 8th and 9th term. Therefore, where was I? Did it erase everything we did? It did. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we can see that the 9th term is the 9th term is the first term greater than 10,000. That's basically it. You're going to do, we're done. So the first assignment is, let's go to the book. You are going to do, exercise 5D. It's the PDF 136. You're going to do 1 through 7, and you're going to do 10. Thank you.